Epic performance from Embiid, thwarted an almost epic meltdown by Philly. 52-13 and 6. Only missed 5 shots, bro. Shot 80% from the floor. How big of a win was this for Philadelphia?
Well, look, they had to win regardless of what Boston did, who they played. But the fact that they were at home and Boston was without Jaylen Brown and Robert Williams III, they had better win. If they had lost, Nick, it would have been disastrous.
Yeah, but they won. So it's all good.
Instead, it was nearly disastrous.
Okay.
I mean, Nick,
what?
Your boys are in trouble. Okay,
Based
if we go
what?
back, I'm about to tell you. I said yesterday, the Celtics are 8-1 against Joel Embiid in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you go back and look
Dating
at
back
those
to the
series,
Obama
I thought the
administration.
Sixers had the better team. Some of those in those situations, they had Ben Simmons at his height, whatever that was. Ben Simmons was playing well, and Embiid was still great. Not quite this Embiid, but he was great, and they had other good players. And yet, what those games in a lot of cases came down to, Nick, was Boston executing tremendously in the clutch under Brad Stevens and Philly dropping the ball. Philly going crazy in the mind, okay? And what do we see last night? The same darn thing. They're up 7 with 15 seconds left, and this happens.
Oh, it's a
James
disaster.
Harden, get away, Tobias. Like, get away. Yeah. I got this. I'm the best passer in the NBA. I lead the league in assists. Now watch me lead to this turnover. And I'll give it to you. I'm going to be honest. I'm objective. Derek White gave him a little nudge.
A little bit something.
But if you could look closely, Maxey tried to sell it.
Yeah.
And he goes out of bounds. He probably could have stayed in bounds, but he sold it. I get it. But you got to probably stay in bounds. That's number one. Gaff number one.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Gaff number so they get the ball. Marcus Smart, go back to that driving layup. Why foul?
I don't know.
Why foul?
Well, that's bad.
You're up big. He can score fine. We're up 7. I don't care. Instead, you foul him. Marcus Smart gets to the foul. And here's the difference. Perfect execution. Hold on. Stop it right there. What? I learned in 3rd grade at the Indianapolis, Indiana YMCA to box out the shooter. Eric, nobody even thought about boxing out the shooter. Boston executes perfectly, and Philly,
I would keep that foul.
Brain freeze.
Yeah, that's
and they're lucky.
Yeah.
Remember, that was initially called a foul on the three-pointer by Derek White, and we're all over the place. But and then the last shot, Jason Tatum gets the look he wants.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of.
I would have liked him to go to the basket, but he liked that look. He can hit that shot.
Okay.
Nick, your boys got lucky last night. They won't be so lucky in the second round when Boston routs them.
So you feel like Philly's a bad execution clutch team?
Yes.
That's how you feel?
Yes.
That's so funny, Wilds, because I thought he was the facts guy.
Oh, no.
And those are
I'm not the
feelings.
facts guy?
You are the facts guy.
We
Hold
just
on.
watched
No,
it.
That
so
was facts.
Brew,
I don't care
here's
what
the thing.
your little analytics are
There's
going
no
to tell
analytics.
us.
I
just watched it.
That was one game. You're correct. Over the course of the season, by a massive margin, who has been the best team in the clutch in the Eastern Conference? The Philadelphia 76ers, outscoring their opponents by 16 points in the clutch. Only Denver is better league-wide. The number one defense in the league, East or West, by a mile in the clutch is the Philadelphia 76ers. Brew, I
take that to the bank.
Are you a facts guy or a
Take
feelings
that.
guy?
You feel good about
Brew,
that, really?
Doesn't matter how I feel.
Because those
I'm not about
numbers
feelings.
include
These are a
teams
facts
like
guy.
Atlanta
Brew.
and Chicago.
Brew, it's all year.
And San Antonio.
Brew, it's all year.
They don't include they include the Celtics, but I bet you the Celtics.
You can bet
different.
whatever you want. I'm just telling you the facts of it.
Okay.
Boston's been good in the clutch this year.
Yeah.
They're 7th in the league, outscoring opponents by 4 points.
Nick,
Philly, hold on. Brew.
Which team you have more confidence in the clutch, really?
This year, Philadelphia. You're bringing up series, one of which you're like, they had Ben Simmons. I think he was hurt for half of this series. One of them was in 2018. They were all with Brett Brown against Brad Stevens. I'm not worried. I'm not concerned with that.
You didn't think that was weird last night?
Listen, up 7 with 6 seconds left. The fact that you could lose, of course, is absurd. Of course,
That's
is
all
not.
the brother's saying.
That's if what you're saying is last night was almost a disaster, I agree. It seems like what you're saying is last night is a microcosm for what's wrong with Philly.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, nothing's wrong with Philly. Mm-hmm. They now have played Boston, Milwaukee 8 times this year. They're 3-5 in those games. For one, the Boston beat them on a buzzer beater. Credit to them. If not, they'd be 4-4. But they're 3-5. Their first 2 losses of the season, games 1 and 2, were Milwaukee and Boston. So since October 20th, they've played these teams 6 times. They're 3-3. Hold on. There are right now, Brew, 3 teams in basketball that have top 10 offense, top 10 defense. They're actually top 8 offense and defense. They are Boston, Philly, and shout out Cleveland. Good for Cleveland. They're on there as well. The idea that a game that Philly won, Philly, a team that has been one of the 3 best teams in the sport since November 1st, where Embiid goes for 50 to up his scoring average on the Celtics on the season to 37, 12, and 4 on 60%, is a bad thing for Philadelphia. It's an absurdity.
They didn't play their second best player.
Brew, I understand that piece of it.
You're leaving that out, though, in your analysis.
No. All I'm saying is the game last night, was it good or bad for Philly? Philly needed to win, and I think it's good that they saw that they have no answer, because maybe I'm wrong. I don't think Jaylen Brown's going to be guarding Joel Embiid.
They don't have to have an answer for Embiid. Nobody's got an answer for Embiid.
Okay.
He's great.
The point that I am making is a very simple one. The Eastern Conference, since November 1st, has been a dead even 3-team race. And the idea that Boston has far outshined Philadelphia, what evidence do we have of it? There is none.
3-1? How about that?
Okay, so if you think that is...
They win 75% of the games they play against each other.
Okay, so you think Milwaukee has far outshined Boston, but you don't. Because
we can go back in history with a lot of these same players, and Boston gets the advantage. We can't do that with Milwaukee.
The idea that Philly, whose best player had one of the best games anyone has had all season long, and they won, that this is a bad thing.
What did Embiid say after the game?
The final 7 seconds were bad. The totality, does that mean that you think Philly has no shot against Boston? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you Boston's going to win, and I'm like this.
Okay.
Those are toes. Those are toes.
Okay.
Nick, you don't think, just put a button on it, that Embiid would sit back and say, I scored 52 points. They didn't have Jaylen Brown. And Robert Williams wasn't there to stop me. And we only won by 2 points, and that's the only time we beat them all season.
No,
I don't feel too great about that.
No, because I don't think Embiid looks at the previous game that they played like, we can't beat them. When it's a tie game with 2 seconds left and Tatum hits a tough 3, you tip your hat. I don't think you're like, we got no answer for these guys. It's not like, and I'm not trying to twist the knife here, it's not like what Boston's done to Milwaukee, where it's like we've lost by 40 twice. That's not what it is. The idea that this is a bad thing for Philadelphia, that Embiid played that well and they won, I think it's almost like I said yesterday, that if Boston wins, it'll be a big deal, and if Philly wins, you guys will say it doesn't matter.
They didn't play 2 of their critical players. You keep leaving that out.
Robert Williams is consistently out. I'm not including
Jaylen Brown's not important.
No, Jaylen Brown's wildly important, but we also don't know how the game would have gone if Jaylen Brown would have played.
We know Boston would have been better.
Won. I looked it up.
They would have been better.
Won, yeah. Embiid scored 49 points, they would have lost.
See, that's again not how these things work.
No, because it won by 2.
But that's not how these things work.
52 minus 49 is 3.
That's not how these things work.
Celtics win. After the game, Doc weighed in on the MVP race. Guess what? He's pro Embiid.
Well, first of all, shout out to Doc. He learned his lesson. Because when I'm sure he does feel like Embiid is the MVP, but he also knew I'm gonna support my guy. Because when he was, critical of Ben Simmons, and Doc said the absolute truth, it went backwards in the whole team.
It'd be hard to be critical of Embiid today.
No, but I'm just saying he learned his lesson. But Doc, look, I'm sitting down Saturday.
Oh my God.
No, I'm serious. I'm sitting down Saturday and coming up with my all my awards. But I will say that Embiid is looking great. What I'm shocked about is everybody's looking at it as just a two-man race between Embiid and Jokic.
I don't think so anymore. I think Giannis is going to
The
finish
odds
second.
have moved Giannis up because Jokic is probably fading, I would think.
You hope.
But there are a lot of people that still, I don't think it's over. Now, I'm leaning Embiid. It's
Can I
close.
try to push you over?
I'm leaning Embiid, but I think it's still close. But all I'm saying, Nick, is there are a lot of these voters, even today, that are just looking at the analytics.
So what I'm telling you, I'm not worried about a lot of voters. I'm worried about this voter. You, and I'm going to try to convince
unless
you.
Unless you're coming over
in
Saturday
60
morning
seconds.
and we're sitting down
hold
in
on,
my
right now,
studio.
Drew, let me see if this can push you, okay? Because you have talked about that numbers matter, history matters, and moments matter. We know he has the moments. He has the buzzer beater to beat to beat Portland. He has the game on national TV. He has the game last night, and then he also has the game where he dropped 48 against Jokic. Okay, so that's that. History. Guys who have finished second in multiple MVPs since 1980. That's Larry Bird, Magic, David Robinson, Shaq, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, LeBron, KD, and Harden. All of them won the MVP at some point. Joel Embiid is the one who hasn't. That's the history of it. What about the numbers? Big men in the last 40 years, highest scoring seasons. Shaq's 2 highest scoring seasons. Shout out the Admiral for a second time, and then Embiid last year and this year. What about any position the last 40 years to average 33 points per game? Well, that is 4 of the greatest scorers ever, and Joel Hans Embiid. He has the stats, he has the moments, he has the history. He should be your MVP.
First center since 1972 to score 50 points in 3 games in a season. Kareem was the last one. He won the MVP that year. I'm leaning Embiid, but this is close. This is close.
It is one basket better than Giannis, so that's a lot.
No,
one basket.
Giannis is in the race.
2 points.
Giannis had a 30-point triple-double last night.
Giannis, huge gap, Jokic. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.